Purport. The demons observed beautiful gestures in the woman's every step. Here they praised her full-grown breast, her scattered hair, and her movements in stepping forward and backward while playing with the ball. In every step they enjoy her womanly beauty, and while they enjoy her beauty, their minds become agitated by sex desire. As moths at night surround a fire and are killed, so the demons become victims of the movements of ball-like breasts of a beautiful woman. The scattered hair of a beautiful woman also afflicts the heart of a lusty demon. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Let's read the previous translation and purport also. Whoever you see, O beautiful girl, we are fortunate in being able to see you. While playing with a ball, you have agitated the minds of onlookers. Purport. Demons arrange any kinds of performances to see the glaring beauty of a beautiful woman. Here it is stated that they saw the girl playing with a ball. Sometimes the demoniac arrange for so-called sports like tennis with opposite sex. The purpose of such sporting is to see the bodily construction of the beautiful girl and enjoy a subtle sex mentality. This demoniac sex mentality of material enjoyment is sometimes encouraged by so-called yogis, who encourage the public to enjoy sex life in different varieties and at the same time advertise that if one meditates on a certain manufactured mantra, one can become God within 6 months. The public wants to be cheated, and Krishna therefore creates such cheaters to misrepresent and delude. These so-called yogis are actually enjoyers of the world, garbed as yogis. Bhagavad Gita, however, recommends that if one wants to enjoy life, then it cannot be with these gross senses. A patient is advised by the expert physician to refrain from ordinary enjoyment while in the diseased condition. A diseased person cannot enjoy anything. He has to restrain his enjoyment in order to get rid of the disease. Similarly, our material condition is a disease condition. If one wants to enjoy real sense enjoyment, then one must get free of the entanglement of material existence. In the spiritual life, we can enjoy sense enjoyment which has no end. The difference between material and spiritual enjoyment is that the material enjoyment is limited. Even if a man engages in material sex enjoyment, he cannot enjoy it for long. But when the sex enjoyment is given up, then one can enter spiritual life which is unending. In the Bhagavatam it is stated that Brahma Saukyam, spiritual happiness, is ananta, unending. Foolish creatures are enamored by the beauty of matter and think that the enjoyment it offers is real. But actually that is not real enjoyment. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjanachalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat the translation. O beautiful woman, when you strike the bouncing ball against the ground with your hand again and again, your lotus feet do not stay in one place. Oppressed by the weight of your full-grown breast, your waist becomes fatigued and your clear vision grows dull. As it were, pray braid your comely hair. So the demons who were attacking Brahma, completely bewildered by the twilight, which took the form of a beautiful girl. And these verses are describing how her beauty enchants the demons, and they are completely bewildered and controlled by the beauty of this damsel. And the various aspects of the womanly form which actually bewilder the man's mind is described here verse after verse. First was the form of the young woman, her beautiful form. That was tantalizing for them. And then the activities of that girl. She was playing with a ball, that's this verse. And it further agitated their minds. And here it is, "O beautiful woman, when you strike the bouncing ball against the ground with your hand again and again, your lotus feet do not stay in one place." They were even bewildered by the movement of her feet, lotus feet. "Oppressed by the weight of your full-grown breasts, your waist becomes fatigued and your clear vision grows dull as it were." And her hair was also, the freely flowing hair, bunches of hair was also attracting them. So these are the different activities or different forms and items of opposite sex which bewildered the demons and brought them under the control. As we discussed yesterday, in the material world, everything is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. The details of, say, female form or male form or trees or birds or whatever it may be, all of them are existing in the spiritual world. And that is why these things exist in the material world. And we discussed yesterday how the varieties in this material world, the different forms, names, activities in this material world, they stand on a foundation of existence under the three modes of material nature. The varieties of male and female form can exist for a person who is in the mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness, and mode of pure goodness. Depending on where the living entity is existing, his existence is influenced by what? If he is existing in the mode of passion, then the same varieties, they mean one thing to him. If he is existing in the mode of ignorance, it means another thing. If he is existing in the mode of goodness like the demigods, then it means something else. And when somebody is existing in the mode of pure goodness in the spiritual world, the male-female form means something else. The same thing. Same male and female. Same Madhurya relationship. Pure Madhurya relationship is on the foundation of Vishuddha Sattva. The characteristics of it is completely different. Prabhupada explains that in the spiritual world there is no sexual intercourse. And those who are interested in those who are elevated and who enjoy the transcendental higher pleasure, they spit at the pleasure of sexual intercourse. Even materially speaking also, within the three modes itself, the sexual intercourse pleasure is considered to be 10th class by the demigods. It is a different kind of, they enjoy sex life, let's say conjugal life, in a different, finer sense, they enjoy. They enjoy dancing, they enjoy beautiful gardens, they enjoy so many singing, dancing, hearing the beautiful voice of the opposite sex, dancing girls, apsaras, all these things they enjoy. Their enjoyment is fine. Those on the mode of passion and ignorance, like these demons, you see, they are into possessive pleasure. They want to possess. And closer to, there's no polish in enjoyment. There's no fineness in enjoyment. When in the animal, it's most unpolished kind of enjoyment. Then little more refined, in mode of passion, little more, then finally refined. And finally, in its original position, in the spiritual world, it exists. So unlike Mayavadis, the Vaishnavas don't, forever, they say that this is all Maya. Maya is on what is your attitude of existence. If you want to be the central enjoyer of everything, then that is Maya. Then the way you see everything in this material world is different. And for those who actually are wanting to enjoy independently, forgetful of Krishna, then this material world is created, and the biggest chain or the biggest shackle of material life is sex life. From its gross to subtle. From its gross sensation to its subtle sensations of loving exchanges between man and woman, these things. All of them are traps where the living entity gets trapped in this material world. Why is it called trap? A trap because it deprives you of your real original pleasure. Because we are not this body, we are spirit souls. We are Satchidananda. Our original nature of pleasure is the nature of Vishuddha Sattva. The pleasures in the Vishuddha Sattva. There is high spiritual pleasure. There are, as Prabhupada is explaining here, there is the difference between material and spiritual enjoyment. Material enjoyment is limited. But when sex enjoyment is given up, then one can enter into spiritual life which is unending. So, there is an unending kind of an enjoyment, Brahma Saukyam. Ananta, it is unending. So it's a trap because the spiritual living entity is entitled for that spiritual quality of Ananda, that spiritual quality of happiness. Whereas by these sensational happiness, pleasures, we are trapped and we are deprived of that. And we are forgetful of our original, fundamental Atma's happiness is the happiness of love of Krishna. It is the happiness of relationship with Krishna. That will be deprived. And the characteristic of that love is what? It is the focus is on pleasing the Supreme Lord Krishna. Whereas the focus of pleasure in the material world is one's own ahankara, false I. In fact, the living entity is always pure in that sense, that it cannot enjoy material life, living entity. It can enjoy material life only by taking a false ego. Yes, our spiritual senses cannot enjoy materially in this sense. That is why spiritual senses become dormant and we have to take an external body We have to take a body made up of something else which is not Satchidananda. And because our original nature is to have Satchidananda senses, we think this body is also having Satchidananda senses. In bodily concept of life, only we can enjoy it. So our original nature is actually to be in, our soul's nature is Satchidananda. And Satchidananda senses can only enjoy Satchidananda relationship. And Satchidananda relationship, which is starved now because we have forgotten Krishna, we seek relational love from everywhere else. We seek pleasure of relationships. We seek pleasure of sense of belonging. Everybody wants to belong somewhere. Our original pleasure is a sense of belonging to Krishna, the perfect, the supreme personality of Godhead to whom everybody actually belongs to. Being part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, we all originally enjoy love of Krishna. So love of Krishna is actually very pleasurable existence. But it is forgotten. So that's why Prabhupada says this Brahma Saukyam is something that we have to awaken our love for Krishna. Even in a small degrees, even in our own personal lives as preachers in Krishna consciousness. The Lord as a super soul is continuously reciprocating with us. The spiritual master externally or internally as the Chaitya Guru is continuously reciprocating with us, enlightening us in so many different ways about material existence, about how to become free from this material existence, and also giving us the association of the holy name, association of the deities, association of prasadam, association of Bhagavatam, association of Bhagavad Gita, association of all kinds of transcendental vibrations spoken by Srila Prabhupada. This is all mercy. Mercy cannot come without love. So we have to appreciate the love of the Lord that is playing in our lives. His compassion is playing in our life. Because of His compassion, love and compassion manifest through our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, we are able to even understand something about spiritual world, spiritual life, that we are not this body. Trying to come free from this material world. Trying to become free from this material world. So, the spiritual injunction for those who are serious about love of Godhead, those who are serious about their spiritual pleasure, not the material pleasure, those who are serious about Brahma Saukyam, they have to leave behind this sex pleasure. They have to leave behind this pleasure of opposite sex. Talking, playing, contemplating, touching. This is how it happens. Prabhupada explains that. Seeing, then talking, then contemplating, then touching, then sexual intercourse. This is the cycle of three modes of material nature that traps the living entity. Just like a firefly emitting light, it gets attracted to the flies get attracted to the fire, and it goes and falls into the fire and kills itself. The same way, Maya's trick is this. One should understand this. Maya's trick is opposite sex. If we can get over it, then we are entitled for spiritual pleasure. We get to get over that gross and subtle. From the animalistic pleasure up to the heavenly pleasure. Subtle body. All these things one should understand that it is a trap of Maya, which prevents us from enjoying Brahma Saukya. And Brahma Saukyam is unlimited, ananta. There is no comparison to that joy. So those who learn, actually we should learn how to enjoy. We should not leave it to our mind and body to dictate to us, come on, take this pleasure, take this pleasure, take this pleasure. No. Having learned from the scriptures what is higher way of enjoying, we have to learn. Learn means what? We have to train. We have to train our mind. How to take pleasure in transcendental knowledge. How to take pleasure in glorifying Krishna. How to take pleasure in devotional service. We have to teach ourselves. We have to learn. And this training or learning how to enjoy spiritual pleasure is such a wonderful process that even you attempt to enjoy, you may not, when somebody is still covered, he may not enjoy devotion service. He may not enjoy. In practical terms, we are all doing devotion service. How much are we enjoying? Many material enjoyments compete with us. And in terms of actual experience of enjoyment, you will see that they overtake the enjoyment that we have in devotion service. But if we are following the regulative principles of bhakti, it is guaranteed that the very attempt of devotion service, very attempt to, let's say, stick to the regulation of only taking Krishna Prasadam, simply by doing that, one will lose one's taste for material things. Because that is how purification happens. Slowly, the living entity, the jiva, awakens. So one should have faith in this process. First, there is a regulated devotion service is nothing but regulated way of trying to awaken our original way of enjoying. We are all, pleasure beings, anandamaya abhyasat. But what is the right way of pleasure of jiva is in association with Krishna, is in service of Krishna, loving service to Krishna. So unlike Mayavadis, we don't reject all these things. We know the transcendental pleasure. Krishna is playing, Krishna is enjoying in conjugal rasa with the gopis, with Radharani. But what is the nature, what is the detail, what is the consciousness of that enjoyment? It is not like the male and female enjoyment in this material world. In fact, if somebody is a devotee of the Lord, he does not take his mind there even, because he knows that I will make offenses. I will project my material ideas of male and female into that domain. And that is why the warning is given by Srila Prabhupada. Unless you read the 9 cantos, unless you get purification, unless you understand who is Krishna, unless you understand who is Radharani, don't try to understand the conjugal pastimes of Radha and Krishna. One can get spiritually poisoned in the sense, one can make spiritual. What is spiritual poison? Offense. When you make offenses, then it's spiritual poison. So we make offenses because we believe they truly exist, and then we are projecting our own concoction upon them. One who is ignorant, he doesn't even believe Radha and Krishna, what offense he can make? He cannot make. When you know Radha and Krishna are truth, they are existent, they are the personalities, and then you think wrong about them, it is an offense. So therefore, the warning is given to those who are seeking or those who are aspiring for Krishna prema in the footstep of the gopis, which is our parampara, that you purify yourself. So Prabhupada taught, though he is holding the highest thing in his heart, Krishna prema, all over the world he lectured, you are not the body. Please understand that you are spirit soul, that you have to go back to Godhead. There is a Satchidananda body, you have to give up this material body. All these things Prabhupada explained. And then he explains how all the other things that we see in this material world is a trap, where the living entity is deprived of his original, permanent, eternal, unlimited ananda of association in the spiritual world with Krishna in devotional service. That is being deprived by these silly things. Therefore, be in the association of devotees, give up this association, give up this rasa in this material world, give up this conjugal rasa in this material world, gross to subtle, and that is the message of no illicit sex. Gross to subtle. The gross one should hate, like Yamunacharya says. After having tasted the rasa, Navanava rasa of Krishna consciousness, when I think of sex, I spit at it, he says. It's like a chain, the gross sex, gross genital sex. Just like an elephant has a leg. You put a chain on his leg and tie it. Is a chain natural to the leg? No. Exactly in the same way, genital sex for spiritualists, starting at that, it is like a real chain that chains you down. So therefore they hate, spiritualists hate. This is a chain. This is a chain in which I will be tied down to this material world. So one hates that, one fears that chain. Keep away from that. But to keep away from that is difficult unless you keep away from the gross frivolousness. Frivolous dealing with opposite sex, whether male or female. When it comes to spiritual life, when it comes to Bhagavatam knowledge, when one is hearing Bhagavatam, one is neither a male nor a female. One sees the dynamics of a male body and the female body. As Prabhupada says, it's like butter and fire. They come together as per laws of nature, it will melt. So, as a person who understands, or person who is interested in spiritual life, who hears Srimad Bhagavatam, hears Bhagavad Gita, he thinks, when he thinks of the sex, when to avoid the sex, he thinks that he remembers the scriptures saying that this is like butter and fire, laws of nature will act, and I will be dragged into it. The soul is dragged into it. And then we get lost in this material whirlpool. It is a big world. It's a network of illusions. Sex begins and then it creates a network of illusions which you cannot get out so easily. So therefore, avoiding is easy. You're not giving up anything. You are giving up nonsense and you're taking up the real thing. One should not think brahmacharya means I'm giving up something. If you give 5 paisa and get 5 rupees, are you giving up something? That is how you should think. You only think, oh, I'm giving 5 paisa, I'm giving 5 paisa. I'm being deprived of the, why should I not? Why should I not? No, the net result you should see. I am following Srila Prabhupada's instruction. I am in the path of Brahma Saukyam. transcendental happiness. And it is not some post-dated check transcendental happiness. That is why I tried to explain that we as devotees should learn how to experience existential pleasure of devotional service. Existential pleasure of bhakti. We are all sheltered by Krishna, by spiritual master, by the internal potency. We don't have struggle for material existence. We are completely living our day after day, depending on the deities, on Srila Prabhupada and his service. We should contemplate, we should think what a great opportunity it is and feel gratitude to Srila Prabhupada. That feeling of gratitude to the Srila Prabhupada is actually a natural pleasure for the soul. Gratitude to Krishna is a natural pleasure of the soul. If you don't know how, if you don't teach yourself, if you don't learn how to enjoy or relish gratitudeness that we feel for Prabhupada and Krishna, if we don't know how to relish our good fortune of our present existence, there are so many items which can fill our mind with ananda. But we are not doing it. From the day you came to Krishna consciousness, you accumulate all the reciprocation that Krishna has given you in your life. Oh, one reciprocation, and then you know it was, you watch it, then you forgot about it. Take a pen and write all the reciprocation, you will get shocked how closely the Lord is following you. How lovingly the Lord is following you. Reminiscence. Remember that. Think about that. Smaranam. Do remember that. You feel closer to the Lord. You will feel that existential bliss. Each reciprocation you will feel that sensation, how the Lord is taking care of me. How the Lord is taking care of me in spite of all my sinful tendencies. How unconditionally He is still keeping me in devotion service. So are these not bona fide opportunities for us to feel blissful? Why should we have dry life? So many things are already there in our life to be constantly being blissful about. Isn't it? Then every activity that we are given in this devotion service by Prabhupada is a matter of a spiritual sensation. Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam class, speaking Srimad Bhagavatam class, reading Prabhupada's books, it is all spiritual sensations. It's all transcendental pleasure. When you read Prabhupada's books, you get chitta prasadam from the Lord. You get realization inside. You relish that. So spiritual life is full of enjoyment. If you keep your spiritual life dry, again the senses will drag you. Oh, there is no happiness, there is no this thing. You should learn how to be happy. You should learn how to be transcendentally happy. You should learn how to learn, I am saying. Learn means you don't know. That means you have to learn. Because now we are in bodily concept of life. In our bodily concept of life, we don't have to learn how to enjoy the body. It is natural. If we have to go back to the spiritual concept of life, then we have to learn how to enjoy spiritually. We have to purify our mind. Our entire sadhana bhakti is trying to purify ourselves, our sense of enjoyment. What is the sense of pleasure? Pleasure is definitely there, but what is that sense of pleasure that is in the spiritual world? Higher pleasure. Param drishtva nivartate. What is that param drishtva? That you have to learn. And that is sadhana. Learning. Learning means training. Entire sadhana is nothing but learning. We are learning higher pleasure. And while higher pleasure you are learning, that time simultaneously you cannot have lower pleasure. Just like Prabhupada says, while you are a patient, that time you have to give up your, you have to restrain your senses. You cannot eat poison. You are trying to learn to eat real food. In the meantime, you cannot still be eating poison. So you have to keep aside that poison. That means regulative principles are there. No intoxication, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling. It's so scientific. Prabhupada gives his example of the patient so many times. When he's being cured, then he has to have restrictions. You get cured and look at the beautiful woman, you will not feel lusty. You are not cured, then you look at it, then you will get lust. Because you don't have transcendental knowledge, you don't have inner purification to see that everything is Krishna's property and everything is for Krishna's enjoyment. That purification is not there. When that purification is not there, we are sick. When we are sick, we should follow the principles given by the Shastras for regulated sadhana bhakti. And then we'll be successful in our path of bhakti. So that is the role of all these womanly attraction, all these things. It's a trap in our material life, but that does not mean that womanly beauty is out of existence. No. Spiritual world is full of womanly beauties. Spiritual world is full of beautiful men. Spiritual world, there is no starvation of beauty here. See, in the material world, there is starvation of beauty. I explained that once in an earlier class. Supply and demand. When there is shortage of something, then you have high value for shortage item. So in the material world, generally, beauty is shortage. Somebody is beautiful, many people are not beautiful, most of them. Somebody is beautiful, then our mind goes, there's a heavy demand, value is created. Suppose, let us say, every one of us are beautiful. Beautiful. Every female is also beautiful in this world. You will see that the kind of attraction that we have will not be for the bodies, but it will be for the rasa. It is for loving exchange, not for the body. But now, form is dominating. Because beautiful forms here and there, suddenly Maya will put. She'll put shortage of it, everything. First she'll give shortage of everything. You cannot find anybody, oh, not beautiful, not ugly. Oh, beautiful, oh. Suddenly, demand is created. This is Maya's trick. So, but this is not absolute. So in the spiritual world, one will not get agitated by beautiful people. Beauty adds to their loving relationship. Beauty adds to the self-respect of that personality as belonging to Krishna, not to you and not for you to enjoy. Just like you see somebody is very starved, very hungry. You give anything, you will take. So in the material world, it's like that. All of us, lust is like that. Lust means, passion means, want to possess. Mine, I want to get it, I want to possess. So it's all false pleasures, possessive pleasure. This kind of possessive pleasure does not exist in the spiritual world. Material, passionate, possessive pleasure does not exist in the spiritual world. It's a world governed by pure love. In the world governed by pure love, these things fades down to insignificance. And everybody, of course, is in Satchidananda body. Everybody, every body is an identity body. This body is not an identity body. This body is a dead body, lump of matter. In the material world, we see matter as Satchidananda. Any questions? Here.
Prabhu, in the purport, it was said that people want to be cheated, so God creates cheaters.
Yeah.
So suppose somebody is we have also seen some examples like somebody was a Mayavadi and then he became a Vaishnavite. So does it also mean that he was also wanted to be cheated, but by the reciprocation of Srila Prabhupada's mercy, he came to become a Vaishnava?
Yeah, see, that statement, somebody wants to be cheated is one thing. Somebody wants truth can also be mixed together. He wants truth to this extent, and he also wants, untruth to that extent. So it's not like black and white. So to the degree to which I want the truth, that would have attracted the mercy of a Vaishnava, and I would have got that mercy, and I would have overcome my tendency for Mayavadism or my tendency for impersonal, this thing I would have overcome. So it's not like black and white. Continuously in our heart, our sincerity, even now that particular statement, cheaters and the cheated, is applicable even now within ISKCON also it is available. In a very fine sense, within our own community, cheaters and cheated can happen. So what it simply means is that Lord provides for whatever you want, but be sincere, then, Lord will provide for that. Otherwise, you want something else other than Krishna, you will get cheated, it will be provided also. And it's very difficult, very subtle. Within the Vaishnava community, it's very subtle, we cannot speculate. We cannot judge anybody, but we have to take this as a caution for our own self. That the Lord is seated in my heart, Paramatma. If I desire something, if He reciprocates, it is not something great. Because that desire maybe it's not the best thing, but still you reciprocated, you are so adamant, Krishna reciprocated. Krishna is reciprocating with all the karmis also. But we want His loving reciprocation. We want Him to happily, so therefore the devotees don't ask any material desire. The devotees say that my heart is full of material desires. But please don't satisfy any of my material desires, my Lord. Not that he is excited, oh, Krishna is satisfied. No, you have to be very careful, because Krishna is, Prabhupada says, that Paramatma is seated in our heart, just like a flower's fragrance you smell. The same way the Jiva's desires, he like fragrance he smells. Like karmi is all is satisfied. Similarly, I don't want God to satisfy my material desires. I want the Lord to put me through whatever is required to purify myself, so that I get gift of love of Godhead. I don't want any small gifts, material gifts in the form of poison. I don't want. I don't want to continue my material existence in this world. So therefore I am foolish. I have no intelligence. I cannot desire anything else. Please manifest your desire in my heart. I am very scared of desiring, because desiring means extension of life. Very easily you will grant, because I am chanting Hare Krishna. I won't go back to Godhead, I will go somewhere to Swargaloka. Those who are chanting 16 rounds, you have some material desire, you suddenly die. Next life, Indra. You become Indra. Some planet, from Brahmanda, you will go and become Indra. So devotee should understand, it is so easy at that. Why I should desire all these material things? If I really want, another 20, 30 years or 50 years, I will be Indra. So easy. Why I should be big man in this material world? In this earth, why I should be big man? I'll be big man there. So easy, Okay. Then I don't want that also. I want what is most difficult. That is Krishna Prema. To go back to Godhead is the most difficult. That I want. Most difficult, but most easy. If you want to go to Tumkur, when you get down, you turn left. It is the most difficult thing to go to Tumkur. The farther and farther you walk left, you will go farther and farther from Tumkur. You want to go to Tumkur, you have to turn right. So, to go back to Godhead is most easy if you follow in the footstep of Srila Prabhupada. You take a deviant path, it is extremely difficult. Where you will reach, you do not know. So, Going back to Godhead is easiest, and at the same time it is most difficult. If somebody is very simple, he can go back to Godhead easily. If somebody is complicated, he cannot. It's a little difficult. In other words, to become big is very easy for a devotee. What is the biggest challenge for the devotee? Not about becoming big. The biggest challenge for the devotee is how to become small. Not easy to be small. Not easy to be humble. That's the biggest challenge in bhakti. How to become the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. How not to become puffed up. That is the real challenge for a devotee. That is the real challenge for a chanter. One who is chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. To become small, smallest, humble. That is the challenge. To become big, I told you, very easy. Indra, Brahma and all, very easy. You are chanting Hare Krishna, you are cleaned. At the end of life, you will go back to Indraloka. Not back. Go to Indraloka. Instead of going back to Godhead. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.